What we have here is that same project that I've been working on in the previous modules. And the first thing that I need to do to show off authentication inside of this project is to add something that requires authentication. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and add an empty MVC5 controller, and I'm going to name it secret controller. And now that I have my secret controller with a single action called index, I'm just going to go ahead and create a view for that action. It needs to be called index, and I don't want it to be a partial view, and I want to make sure it doesn't use a layout page in this case. And since I've added my ASP.NET MVC support using a NuGet package, instead of setting up using the template when I created my application, I'm missing a configuration in my web config file that sets up automatic inheritance for all of my views. So to sort that out, I need to manually make sure that my page inherits from system.web.mvc.webViewPage. And to make sure that I've actually reached this secret page from my browser, I'm just going to add an h1 tag here with the text "this is secret," so I know. But I guess adding the words "this is secret" to my page doesn't actually make it secure. So to sort that out, I'm going to head over to my secret controller, and I'm going to adorn it with the authorize attribute. This tells MVC that nobody is allowed to use this controller unless they're authorized. And authorized in this case actually means authenticated in some way. So let's just press F5 and see how MVC actually handles anybody requesting this page without being authorized. Okay, so there's the hello MVC from the home controller. Let's just head over to the /secret and see what happens. Okay, so that's one way of handling it. It just returns an HTTP 401 unauthorized. Not really helpful, to be perfectly honest. To sort this out, we need to add some form of authentication scheme. And on the internet, using cookies is the way to go. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and install another NuGet package. In this case, it's going to be microsoft.owin.security.cookies. With that in place, we can head over to the startup.cs file and add the cookie authentication middleware. This is done using the use cookie authentication extension method like we've seen before. As you can see, I'm putting the cookie authentication middleware after the debug middleware in the pipeline. The reason for this is that by putting it here, I can still use the debug middleware to debug any potential cookie authentication problems I might have while setting that up. And with that side note out of the way, I can go ahead and create a new cookie authentication options instance that I can use to configure my cookie authentication middleware. The cookie authentication options class has a whole heap of different things that we can use to configure the cookie authentication middleware with. But in this case, I'm actually only interested in two of those properties. The first one is the authentication type, which is the name of the authentication that I'm doing. In this case, I'm going to call it application cookie. To be perfectly honest, you can call it whatever you want, but we need to remember what we've called it because we're going to use it later on. The second property I want to configure is the login path. This is where you want the user to go when they want to go and log in. In this case, I'm just going to create a new path string and give it the value /auth/login. And then I guess it's just a matter of pressing F5 and seeing if it works. Okay, so we get the hello from MVC from the home controller. And if we head over to /secret, we get a 404. But that's not really what's happening. If you look up here, it says /auth/login, return URL, and so on. So what's really happening is that we're requesting /secret, but that's saying, hey, you're not authorized. So the cookie authentication middleware, which has been configured to send anyone trying to log in to /auth/login, will do a redirect to that URL telling the user, hey, you have to log in. So everything seems to be working exactly as it should at this point.